That morning, right after Junichi arrived at school, Shinpei showed him something about the king game. Shinpei asked if things had progressed between Junichi and his girlfriend. Junichi admitted that nothing much had changed. Shinpei then suggested that what Junichi needed right now was to play the king game. Junichi questioned why they should play a game like that if it was just the two of them. Shinpei explained that Junichi needed help from his friends. He said that girls tend to lower their guard when they're having fun, and that was exactly what the king game was about. Shinpei reminded Junichi that he had 3 awesome friends. Keigo reassured him that the 3 of them would do whatever it took to help Junichi achieve what he wanted. As a favor in return, Shinpei asked Junichi to invite Yukana's friends to hang out at Yukana's house. Junichi agreed to do it. During lunch break, as usual, Junichi was having lunch with Yukana behind the school building. He was trying to figure out how to invite her friends. Yukana noticed that Junichi wasn't paying attention to what she was saying. When he realized this, Junichi apologized and asked what they were talking about. Apparently, Yukana was bringing up plans for summer break. Junichi asked what was up with summer break. Yukana lightly tapped his forehead and said that she wanted to go somewhere with him during the holidays. Junichi asked her to decide where they should go, and she told him she wanted them to do a lot of fun things together during summer. Junichi was surprised that a sweet girl like Yukana was thinking about spending summer vacation with him. If she had invited someone else, maybe it wouldn't have bothered him, but she chose him. He worked up the courage to ask if he could visit her house after school. Yukana was surprised, but shyly said it was okay. Then, Junichi said he also wanted to bring his friends, Ranko and Nene. Yukana's expression suddenly turned cold, and Junichi couldn't figure out why. Yukana said he should let Nene know and she would tell Ranko. Junichi asked why Yukana seemed upset, but she brushed it off and said they would all hang out together after school. The sudden change in Yukana's tone really confused him. Unexpectedly, Yui overheard their conversation. When the final bell rang and school was over, Junichi was waiting for Yukana at the front gate. He felt nervous since he had never been to her house before. Earlier, before leaving class, Yukana had told him to come straight to her house. Junichi mentioned that the others would go home first and then come over later. He started imagining the possibility of being alone with Yukana at her place before the others arrived, and the thought made him blush. He even found himself wanting to kiss her right then and there. Suddenly, Yu called out to him. Surprised, Junichi quickly snapped out of his daydream. Yui asked why he was swaying back and forth like that. Embarrassed, Junichi told her not to worry about it. Yu assumed he must be waiting for someone. When Junichi said he was waiting for Yukana, Yu guessed they were going on a date, but Junichi clarified that they were just going to hang out with a group at Yukana's house. Yu stayed quiet for a moment, and Junichi asked why she hadn't gone home yet. Yu said she had some free time, but Junichi didn't respond. She moved a little closer and repeated that she had time. Junichi didn't really understand what she was trying to say. Eventually, just making small talk, he asked if she wanted to come along too. Naturally, Yu didn't turn down the offer. She said she would go home first and asked him to send her the location by phone. After exchanging contacts, she left. Junichi couldn't figure out why Yu was acting that way. Not long after, Yukana showed up. Junichi asked if it was okay that he had invited Yui to join them. Yukana replied a bit sharply that it was fine, if he wanted to have more people there to make things more exciting. Right then, Minchi got a message from Shinpei. Shinpei reassured him that everything would work out in the end and that they would handle the rest. That made Junichi a bit anxious, wondering if he had just invited some potentially chaotic people to the hangout. When they arrived at Yukana's house, Junichi started to worry that maybe Yukana didn't even see him as a guy. Before they went in, Yukana asked him to wait in front of her room while she changed clothes. She even teased him by saying it was okay if he wanted to peek, but Junichi, clearly flustered, said he wasn't going to do that. Yukana smiled because she knew Junichi would never actually go through with it. Junichi was waiting for Yukana, but curiosity started to get the better of him. Just as he was about to peek through the door, Yukana suddenly appeared, startling him. She invited him into her room. As soon as he stepped in, Junichi was stunned by how different Yukana's room was from a typical guy's room. Everything sparkled and felt warm. Yukana looked a bit shy as she noticed how intently Junichi was looking around. He couldn't help but be amazed. She was dressed casually, and her outfit had a certain boldness to it. Her braided hair gave her a completely different look, and Junichi found himself captivated. Her outfit also revealed part of her chest, which made Junichi even more nervous. Yukana asked him not to stare so much. Embarrassed, Junichi quickly apologized. She then asked if he really liked her chest that much, which only made him more flustered. To change the subject, he nervously asked where her parents were. Yukana casually said they weren't home. That's when Junichi realized she had been upset earlier because he had invited others to come over too. He started to think maybe she had wanted to spend time alone with him, and he regretted not being braver. If only he had picked up on the moment, maybe the two of them could have had the whole evening together. As Yukana got closer, Junichi reached out, unsure of what he was doing, only to be interrupted when Renko, Nene, and Yui suddenly showed up, completely ruining the moment. Junichi was mortified. Yukana asked how Renko had even gotten into the house since she had locked everything. It turned out Renko had used the spare key Yukana usually kept in the same place. Renko asked what Yukana had been planning to do with Junichi, and Yukana admitted she had just been teasing him. Besides, she knew Junichi would never have the guts to try anything inappropriate. Out of nowhere, Nane wrapped her arms around Junichi and jokingly said he could touch her chest whenever he wanted. Junichi quickly asked her to let go. Then, without warning, Yui kicked Junichi, causing him to fall over. Smiling, she apologized and claimed it was an accident. Renko seemed confused about why Yui had joined in all of this, but Yui just asked if visiting a classmate was really that strange. Junichi couldn't believe how what started as a simple visit was now turning into pure chaos. Just then, the doorbell rang. Junichi's 3 closest friends had arrived. He was shocked by how they looked. Shinpei admitted he had dressed up to make an impression on the girls. Keigo had shown up looking like a rebellious character straight out of a manga, and Minoru's outfit was loud and over the top. He even brought 2 recorders with him as some kind of weird introduction. Junichi couldn't understand why the 3 of them would show up dressed like that. Yukana, meanwhile, couldn't stop laughing at the sight. Junichi introduced his friends to everyone. As soon as they saw Renko, they were visibly impressed. Renko then asked what they were planning to do now that everyone was here. Shinpei suggested playing a fun party game, King's Game. Junichi had a feeling he had just let his friends steer the whole direction of the evening. To his surprise, Yukana actually seemed interested in playing. Yu quickly said she hoped no one would make her do anything inappropriate. Keigo and Shinpei were startled and immediately said they weren't that kind of guys. Shinpei added that nothing inappropriate would happen during the game. Nene was eager to start. For her, it was the perfect excuse to get closer to Junichi without anyone stopping her. Renko was also interested. She figured she could use any dares in the game to get closer to Yukana. The first round of the game began. Shinpei asked who the king was. It turned out to be Keigo. He and Shinpei exchanged looks which made Junichi suspicious. They were definitely planning something. He braced himself for an embarrassing or risky dare. But Keigo simply told player number 2 to slap player number 5. Junichi was relieved it was just a harmless punishment. Then Renko, who had drawn number 2, walked right over and slapped him hard. So hard, in fact, that Junichi fell to the floor. Yukana asked if he was okay. Junichi managed to reply that he was fine. Yukana reminded Renko that she shouldn't have slapped Junichi so hard. Renko just laughed it off and apologized to Junichi, who felt relieved since it was just a playful punishment. Shinpei mentioned that everything has its stages and told Junichi to just sit back and observe for now. That made Junichi even more curious about what Shinpei was really planning. The second round of the game started, and this time Yukana was the king. She asked player number 1 to introduce themselves using baby talk. Once they realized Yui was number 1, Renko teased her by saying this would be a good warm-up for her next gal-style livestream. Yui stood up confidently and began introducing herself with a cutesy voice. Renko burst out laughing, and Yukana commented that Yui sounded really sweet when she spoke like a baby. Yui got even more pumped and asked for the next round to start right away. In the next round, Yui became the king. She gave a new order. Player number 6 had to pose like a graver model. It turned out Nane had drawn number 6. Without hesitation, Nane unbuttoned one button on her shirt and leaned forward, striking a pose in front of the guys. She then asked how her pose looked. Junichi was stunned, completely caught off guard by what was right in front of him. Yu quickly pulled Nane back and said no one told her to unbutton anything like that. After that, the game continued with more rounds and lighthearted punishments. Renko and Yukana had to share a Pocky stick. Yukana danced with Junichi, Shinpei, Keigo, and Minoru sang a song together, and Yui even drank an entire bottle of soda in one go. As they kept playing, everyone became a lot closer. Junichi asked Shinpei what he had planned next. Shinpei explained that in the upcoming round, Junichi would get to kiss Yukana, and the rest of the guys would get their moment too. Junichi wondered how that would work. Shinpei revealed that he had secretly modified the chopsticks they used in the game so that one was longer and easier to identify. That way, he could rig the game to become king and control the outcome. He also knew which player got which number. He asked Junichi to hold the sticks so it wouldn't look suspicious if Shinpei won again. Junichi started to question everything. Even if it was part of the game, was it really okay to kiss Yukana just because of a setup like this? As a guy, he felt responsible for dragging the girls into Shinpei's scheme. The next round began and the girls took turns grabbing a chopstick each. Once they all had one, Shinpei shouted that he was the king, assuming everything had gone according to plan. He then gave a new order. Player number 1 had to kiss the king, and player number 3 had to share a deep kiss with player number 2. That instantly caused a stir. Yui objected, and Nene said she only wanted to kiss Junichi and no one else, and both Renko and Yukana refused to follow through. But Shinpei insisted, saying the king's orders were absolute. He then asked who had numbers 1, 2, and 3. To his shock, Junichi had number 1, Keigo had number 2, and Minoru had number 3. Keigo froze, horrified by the thought of having to kiss Minoru. Shinpei accused Junichi of betraying them, but it turned out Junichi had switched things on purpose. He didn't want the girls to be involved in something uncomfortable just for the sake of a joke, even if that meant putting himself in an awkward spot. The girls, catching on to what Junichi had done, encouraged the guys to go through with it. Renko and Yukana reminded them that the king's command couldn't be denied. Yui urged Junichi to act like a man and even pushed him forward towards Shinpei. In the end, they went through with it. Renko had a blast watching it all unfold. She hadn't expected playing with everyone like this would be so fun. Yui couldn't believe she had just witnessed something so unexpected. Junichi had done it all to protect the girls, but he definitely paid the price. Out of nowhere, Yukana leaned in and whispered a quiet thank you to Junichi for what he did. Junichi felt happy knowing that she understood his intentions. Yukana then said it would be fun if they all took a trip together during summer break. Junichi was surprised that Yukana meant everyone. Renko suggested they go to the beach. Yui was in, and Nana got super excited, already thinking about shopping for a new swimsuit. Shinpei and Minoru agreed it really did sound like the perfect summer plan. Dei wanted to join too, but he had already spent his allowance trying to reinvent himself. Junichi admitted he was also low on cash. Yukana suggested they all find part-time jobs together. They still had time to save up before the trip. Nani said it would be so much fun if they could go on a vacation using money they earned themselves. Everyone got pumped up and agreed to work hard so they could enjoy summer break together. That day was 41 days before their planned group beach vacation. During lunch break, Junichi and his 3 close friends were drinking soda and toasting together. Shinpei didn't expect they would actually go to the beach with the sweet gal girls. According to Keigo, the beach was the perfect place to get closer to them. Junichi was confident they would make some great memories. Shinpei suggested they should plan the vacation carefully. Meanwhile, Minoru was wondering if the grade school girls would be going to the beach too. He couldn't wait to see their swimsuits. Before the trip, they needed to save money by working part-time jobs. Keigo asked if there was a place where they could earn more money quickly. Minoru kept thinking about the vacation, convinced that the parents of those grade school girls would come along, making it harder for him to approach them. Shinpei said he knew suitable jobs for each of them. He suggested Keigo work part-time at an anime shop, confident Keigo could handle it since he had recently become an otaku. Keigo was excited and sure he could do it. For Minoru, Shinpei recommended a part-time job at a daycare for grade school kids. Then Shinpei showed a cosplay-made picture for Junichi's job. Junichi thought Shinpei wanted him to cosplay as a maid, but actually Shinpei assigned him to work in the kitchen staff. The enthusiastic Minoru asked if it would be okay legally if the grade school kids he was taking care of liked him. After dividing the jobs, Shinpei encouraged everyone to save money so they could enjoy the beach trip and have fun there. At that moment, Minoru asked if it was possible that those grade school kids had little sisters who were still in kindergarten. 31 days before their group trip to the beach, Shinpei and Keigo were working part-time at Tora no Onna. Seeing the intimidating shop owner, Keigo whispered to Shinpei if the place was always that scary. Shinpei was sure that Tora no Onna was actually a friendlier place. They were assigned to move a large amount of stock onto shelves. After work, Shinpei and Keigo walked home together, feeling exhausted. They didn't expect working at Tora no Onna to be so tough. Suddenly, they saw Minoru talking to a little girl, telling her that showing certain feelings could be considered a crime. Shinpei jokingly hoped that Minoru would get caught by the police soon. 29 days before the beach vacation was Junichi's first day working at the cosplay cafe. When he opened the cafe door, the cosplay waitress girls warmly greeted him. It turned out that Yukana, Yui, Nene, and Renko were working part-time there as cosplay waitresses. Junichi was surprised to learn about their part-time jobs. Nene approached Junichi and asked if he had purposely come to see her. Yui was also surprised by Junichi's arrival. Renko guessed that Yui must be happy that Junichi came, but Yui denied it. Yukana told Junichi that the cafe wasn't open yet. Junichi said he was going to work there. They assumed Junichi would be cosplaying, so Yui asked why he chose to work at a cosplay cafe. Junichi explained that Shinpei had recommended it and that he would be working as kitchen staff. Soon after, the cafe manager arrived. He looked over the cosplay girls one by one. His gaze made them uncomfortable. The manager complimented their outfits for the day and asked them to serve the customers properly. He also greeted Junichi, who had just started working. Shortly after, the cosplay cafe opened and customers began to arrive. At that time, Yukana brought an order to a customer. The customer asked her to perform a little magic to make the food taste better. Yukana happily did it, and the customer was very pleased with her service. Meanwhile, Nana entertained customers with her cute gestures while serving food. At one point, Yu went to approach a customer who wanted to order food, but she accidentally tripped, causing her skirt to flip up. The customer smiled and called Yui clumsy. Yui felt really embarrassed. Then Ranko noticed a customer accidentally spill a drink on the table. She kindly approached and wiped the table. She took a cloth from her chest pocket, which made the customer even more nervous, especially since Ranko's chest was very close to his face. The customer asked Ranko to wipe his wet clothes. When she noticed that his pants were wet around the private area, Ranko said she couldn't help with something like that. She immediately drew her sword, which scared the customer a lot. 25 days before their group vacation, Shinpei and Keigo were working at the Torino comic shop. They were busy stocking comics on the shelves. Keigo noticed that Shinpei seemed unusually enthusiastic that day. Shinpei finished all his tasks well, arranging the light novels by placing the highly recommended ones on the main table, organizing the newest releases by contacting the supplier about missing items, and setting up merchandise with high sales potential as instructed by their boss. Keigo wondered what had gotten into Shinpei to make him so energetic. 3 days before the vacation, Junichi had just arrived at the cafe when he accidentally saw Yu changing her clothes. They locked eyes and Yui immediately slapped Junichi. The slap was quite painful for him. Yukana then asked if Junichi had intentionally peeked at Yui. Junichi explained that he did not mean to peek. It just happened when he opened the door and Yui was changing at that moment. Yui wasn't convinced that it was a coincidence. She was really annoyed, especially because the uniform they were wearing that day was embarrassing. She was also puzzled by the strange behavior of the cafe manager. 20 days before the vacation, Yukana felt very hot while working since the cafe's air conditioner was broken and was scheduled to be fixed the next day. Feeling overheated, Yukana fanned herself around her chest. Seeing a bottle of drink nearby, she immediately took a sip. Junichi told her not to drink from the same bottle because he had just drunk from it, but Yukana kept drinking to quench her thirst. Afterwards, she put the bottle back and thanked Junichi. Junichi's heart raced, and he wondered if an indirect kiss counted as a real kiss. He quickly took a sip from the bottle to get an indirect kiss from Yukana, but Ranko's sudden arrival startled him, causing him to spill the drink. Ranko apologized, and Junichi was quite frustrated that his indirect kiss had been ruined. 18 days before the vacation, the owner of the Torino shop announced that he would temporarily hand over management to Shinpei. Shinpei said he aimed to double or triple the store's sales and asked the other employees to cooperate in achieving that goal. Keigo was certain that Shinpei had some plan in mind. Days went by and Junichi and his friends worked hard to earn a lot of money. They performed their jobs well. Unfortunately, Minoru still teased grade school girls and the teachers had started noticing. Yukana was friendly and attentive to cafe visitors, while Shinpei kept diligently organizing the store's merchandise. 6 days before the vacation with his friends, Junichi felt extremely tired. Tomorrow would be their last day working part-time at the cosplay cafe, and there was also an event planned for that day. The cosplay cafe manager was looking forward to the event and had prepared many light novels for it. The next day, Yukana told Junichi that the event was called Literature Girls Day. It involved cosplay girls wearing uniforms and reading novels aloud to customers. Yukana asked Junichi for his opinion on which novel she should read. Soon after, Ranko, Nene, and Yui arrived. Nene asked Junichi to pick a novel for her, while Ranko complained that the event was troublesome but agreed to participate because the pay was decent. Yui picked a novel and began reading. The novel described a girl who changed her behavior in a negative way, and it also included a scene with a romantic kiss and another scene implying an intimate moment. They all were shocked by the content of the novel Yui was reading. Yui's face turned red and she didn't understand why they had to read that kind of novel aloud. She also wondered what was actually going through the manager's mind. Feeling like she couldn't take it anymore, Yui excused herself and left for a moment. Yukana didn't understand what was going on with Yui, while Ranko guessed that Yui must have been planning something. Nene then opened a few of the novel covers. The novels were titled, among others, Shinmai Kamasama no Dependence, Nosu Junior High School XD, and Musu Geiken Hybrid X Heart. Nene said those novels were just like the ones Junichi owned. Junichi admitted that the content was really concerning. Nene started reading out loud, mentioning a part where Sylvia's chest hadn't been touched yet and Kizuna's hands were the first to touch it. On purpose, Nene read some suggestive dialogue between Sylvia and Kizuna, even describing how Sylvia's sighs sounded. Junichi quickly asked Nene to stop. Ranko grabbed the novel away but then wanted to join in reading it after seeing Junichi's funny reaction. Ranko really got into reading the novel, which made Yukana's cheeks flush with embarrassment. Junichi asked Ranko to stop because she was overdoing it with her acting, but Ranko didn't care and kept reading the explicit parts, laughing as she saw Junichi's face turn red. Junichi felt extremely embarrassed. Suddenly, Yukana joined in reading as well, nervously reading the novel while blushing. At that moment, Junichi asked Yukana to stop, saying it had gone too far. Then the manager came over and asked what all the noise was about. He also asked if they had chosen which book to read later, confident that they would like those books. Junichi thought it was too much and wondered why the manager would want high school students to read light novels with inappropriate content. The manager said it was actually a good thing and questioned the point of reading ordinary books anyway. According to him, a girl blushing and feeling shy while reading light novels would make customers happy. Junichi asked the manager to consider their feelings too because it wasn't possible for them to read embarrassing lines like that in front of people. The manager got annoyed because Junichi was just a part-time worker, yet he dared to oppose an event the manager had planned. Suddenly, Yui informed the manager that the cafe owner was calling him. The owner reprimanded the manager about the event. After that, the manager canceled the event for the day and told them to work as usual. Yui asked if they would still get paid as promised, and the manager agreed. After the manager left, the friends thanked Yui, knowing she must have reported the situation to the cafe owner. After work, Yukana and Junichi walked home together. Yukana was grateful the event had been canceled because she definitely couldn't read something like that in front of people. Junichi wondered why Yukana kept looking at him. Yukana said that Junichi had been really cool that day, but she didn't say why. Junichi admitted that part-time work was fun even though a lot of problems came up. He asked what kind of job Yukana wanted to try next. Yukana said she wanted to work at a karaoke place or family restaurant. Junichi agreed that Yukana seemed to enjoy those kinds of jobs and thought they suited her well. Yukana then said that when the time came, she wanted Junichi to come with her. But it wasn't just about work. She also wanted to do other things with him, like going out eating together and going home together. Junichi smiled and said, wasn't that something they were already doing? Yukana said she wanted to spend Christmas and birthdays with Junichi, and then buy matching items like phone charms or keychains. Then, blushing shyly, she said she wanted to take a photo with Junichi. Junichi was surprised, but Yukana quickly said it was nothing special. Junichi said that if they went to the beach later, it would definitely be a lot of fun, and since there would be many friends, it wouldn't be boring. Suddenly, Yukana said she understood they would go to the beach with others, but next time she wanted to go somewhere just the two of them. Junichi was shocked by that request. Yukana repeated that she wanted to go just the two of them, and Junichi nodded, feeling really happy and looking forward to it. The summer vacation day had finally arrived, and Junichi, along with his friends, went to the beach. Junichi did not expect that they could all go together. Keigo still could not believe that he was able to come to a place where popular people usually gathered. He even shouted, wondering if it was a dream. Watching little kids playing with the sand, Minoru felt like the place was a paradise for him. Not long after, Ranko showed up in her swimsuit. They all approached Ranko and complimented her appearance. Soon after, Yui and Nene also arrived. Shinpei praised Yui, saying that the swimsuit suited her very well. Keigo was excited to see Nene, who had a youthful appearance but was wearing a swimsuit that caught attention. Nene immediately came over to Junichi and asked for his opinion about her look, wondering if her swimsuit made him happy. She deliberately got close to him, which made Junichi feel a little uncomfortable. Before long, Yukana arrived, walking confidently in her stylish swimsuit. Seeing her, Junichi was mesmerized and his cheeks turned red as he looked at her. He admitted that Yukana was truly the best for him. Yukana then invited everyone to have fun together. Before swimming, Nene warmed up by moving her body, while Keigo and Shinpei were watching her from behind. Junichi prepared a chair for Yu to lie down. Yu felt thirsty and wanted Junichi to get her a drink, but suddenly Nene called out to Junichi, waving her hand. Yu felt a little jealous because of Nana's striking appearance. Yukana called Junichi to join her in the water. Junichi apologized to Yui because he had to go play with Yukana. Nene also followed along to join in. Yui felt a bit upset that Junichi chose to spend time with Yukana. When Junichi approached Yukana, she suddenly splashed water on his face. Junichi was surprised, which made Yukana laugh. Junichi splashed back at her. Ranko also joined in, splashing water toward Yukana. At that moment, Nene bumped into Junichi, upset because he had not been paying attention to her. The close contact made Junichi feel an intense sensation on his back. He then asked Nene to step away. Suddenly, Yui shot water at both Nene and Junichi with her water pistol, wanting to join in the fun. Meanwhile, Shinpei, Keigo, and Minoru were left out by the girls. Keigo commented that the beach event was a little different from what he expected. Shinpei noticed this too, but said it was not a bad thing since they could watch the girls in their bikinis. Shinpei started recording the girls playing happily, surprised that he still had an appreciation for natural beauty. Minoru was also very happy because he got to watch the young girls having fun on the beach. At that time, Junichi, Yui, Nene, Ranko, and Yukana were playing volleyball together. Ranko served the ball very hard toward Junichi, causing him to fall. Yukana asked if Junichi was okay. Ranko laughed and apologized, saying she had been carried away by her instincts. Junichi guessed that it was probably her hunting instinct. Ranko invited Yukana to go to a nearby store. They also planned to look for a place to have dinner since their lodging did not provide dinner. After Yukana and Ranko left, Yu wanted to relax, but Nane invited Junichi to play with the sand. Yu was surprised because they were not children anymore, yet Junichi agreed to play with Nane. Nane was so happy that she even jumped up and down, which annoyed Yui a little. At that moment, Nane, Junichi, and Yui managed to build a sandcastle. The sandcastle looked very nice. According to Yui, if they paid attention to the details, the result would be great. Nene encouraged Junichi to build an even better one. Yui asked Junichi to write their names on the sandcastle walls to make it look like a secret club. When Junichi saw Yukana talking to another guy, he decided to approach her. Although he wasn't quite sure why he suddenly felt the urge to do so, he reminded himself that he didn't have the right to stop Yukana from talking to other guys. Seeing Junichi standing in front of her, Yukana immediately came closer, feeling happy that he showed up just in time. She grabbed Junichi's hand, which made him feel a bit nervous because her chest gently touched his arm. Not only that, Ranko also took hold of Junichi's hand. Ranko explained that the guys they were talking to earlier had been a bit too forward and were bothering them, so she was glad Junichi arrived right when they needed him. She thanked him sincerely. After that, Ranko expressed her gratitude to Shinpei and Keigo for watching over their belongings. From a short distance, Shinpei and Keigo were excited to see Ranko and Yukana, and Ranko invited them to go have fun. Shinpei and Keigo looked surprised at the invitation. Yukana realized that they must have been bored sitting around for so long, so she offered to take over their place and encourage them to enjoy themselves. Shinpei and Keigo looked a bit downhearted but decided to leave, taking Minoru with them. Then Yukana asked Junichi to help apply sunscreen on her body. Junichi was happy because he was about to experience a close moment. He was excited since he had never seen something like this happen in real life before. Not wanting to be outdone by Ranko, Yukana took off her outer shirt and lay down. Both Ranko and Yukana asked Junichi to start applying the sunscreen right away. At that moment, Junichi didn't know what to do. He hadn't expected such an intimate moment to happen to him, and his feelings started to rise. He quickly started applying sunscreen on Ranko and Yukana's backs, making sure to give gentle massages that made both of them feel comfortable. Ranko was surprised by how skillful Junichi was. Yukana jokingly said that Junichi's way of applying sunscreen was quite suggestive. Ranko let out a loud sigh and asked Junichi to apply more firmly. Junichi was puzzled why Ranko was intentionally making such sounds. Meanwhile, Shinpei and Keigo were still walking, dragging Minoru along. They wondered what their friends were up to since they were all supposed to be at the beach. Shinpei mentioned that their efforts were far from over because it was still daytime and the real fun would start when they stayed overnight. To make that happen, they had to persuade everyone. That evening, they ate at a small eatery near the beach. Yukana prepared the food for Junichi. Not long after, Shinpei and Keigo called Junichi over. They had a request for him and explained their plan. Later that night, the girls gathered in one of their rooms, feeling satisfied after the barbecue they had. They were preparing to take a bath together at the hot springs. Meanwhile, Shinpei and Keigo were eavesdropping from the next room. After the girls left to bathe, Shinpei and the others started putting their plan into action. They quickly put on costumes and equipment they had prepared. Their plan was to sneak a peek at the girls while they were bathing. Junichi tried to stop them, saying that peeping was a serious violation and that they needed to respect the girls' feelings. Shinpei argued that Junichi didn't understand women at all. According to him, if Junichi wasn't interested in peeping, the girls would think they weren't attractive, and that not peeking was like an insult. Keigo called Junichi cruel and said he couldn't believe Junichi was that kind of person. Junichi was confused as to why they were blaming him. Shinpei then asked Junichi to put on a costume and join in, saying that if he didn't, he couldn't be called a real man and would be disrespecting the girls. Keigo asked if Junichi didn't want to see Yukana. Hearing that, Junichi admitted he wanted to see Yukana more than they expected, but precisely because of that, he refused to participate. According to Shinpei, Junichi's intentions were contradictory. Junichi wasn't really concerned about whether they wanted to watch or not. Shinpei had told him not to interfere with their fight, but Junichi decided to join anyway. Meanwhile, Minoru chose to go to the mixed-gender bath and planned to look for a grade school kid there. At that time, Yukana, Nene, Yui, and Ranko were enjoying the warm, hot spring. Ranko stood at the edge of the bath admiring the sky view. Yu reminded Ranko not to stand there to avoid being seen by others. Nene was surprised to hear about possible peeping. Ranko reassured them all, saying that the inn was well known for having very high security in the women's bath, and the security guards had said it would be impossible for anyone to peek in. After hearing that, they all gathered next to Ranko to enjoy the beautiful view. Meanwhile, Minoru was soaking in the bath and felt happy because there was a child around as well. At the same time, Ranko was playfully teasing Yukana. Yukana felt embarrassed and asked Ranko to tease Nene instead because Nene had the biggest chest among them. Nana got nervous when Ranko approached her, but Ranko was genuinely amazed by Nana's figure. Yukana also became interested and joined in. Yui could only watch quietly, but suddenly Yukana stood behind her and playfully teased her too, saying Yui's figure was nice as well. Yui screamed out of embarrassment and Yukana laughed, saying she was happy that Yui was joining in. Yui then teased Yukana back. Meanwhile, Shinpei, Keigo, and Junichi were walking toward a certain location. As they were about to move forward, Shinpei warned them about a trap ahead. Shinpei and Keigo carefully stepped over a sensor device, but Junichi intentionally triggered it to sabotage their plan. When the sensor went off, Junichi urged them to retreat quickly. However, it turned out the trap was actually set by Shinpei himself. Shinpei quickly deactivated the sensor, revealing it was a fake trap. Shinpei asked whether it was likely that the inn's guards would set a trap deep in the forest just to prevent peeping into the women's bath. That's when Shinpei and Keigo realized that Junichi had betrayed them, so they decided to test him. To judge Junichi, Shinpei called for a vote on how to punish him. Junichi lost the vote and was supposed to receive a mock attack from Shinpei and Keigo. Junichi tried to escape their chase and attempted to get out of the forest, but unfortunately, he fell into a ravine. Keigo and Shinpei saw him fall, but Shinpei wasn't convinced that Junichi would die that easily. Shinpei and Keigo quickly headed toward the women's bath. They were excited to rush there, hoping to see the girls without any clothes. Unfortunately, Keigo fell into a pit trap and Shinpei helped pull him out. Keigo was surprised because Shinpei had said there were no traps in that area. Shinpei was also confused. Suddenly, Shinpei accidentally triggered a rope and an arrow shot toward him, narrowly missing his body. Seeing this, Keigo suggested they retreat, but Shinpei refused because he didn't want to waste their efforts. Shinpei explained that even if they knew the outcome would be bad, they had to complete the routes that could lead to him being disliked by the heroines. There were still unfinished routes, and if they failed to complete them, they couldn't finish the story. Keigo regained his enthusiasm, thinking about completing his life album. They kept running while shooting their weapons, dodging attacks and traps along the way. Unfortunately, Shinpei was hit by an arrow in the chest. He collapsed and became helpless. Shinpei asked Keigo to fulfill their shared dream. Keigo replied, wondering what the point was if only his own album was complete. Shinpei kept urging Keigo to go. Then Keigo started crying and ran away, but accidentally stepped on something that caused fireworks to light up. At that moment, the girls were enjoying the fireworks. Yukana looked at Yui and mentioned how beautiful the view was. Yui smiled back at her. That night, the girls were planning to play with fireworks when Junichi woke up from fainting. He was surprised to see Yukana standing right in front of him. Yukana explained that she and the others had come to play with fireworks and found Junichi asleep on the beach. Junichi then remembered that he had fallen off a cliff earlier. He asked about Shinpei and Keigo's condition. Yukana didn't know the details but said they were found lying down on the mountain behind the inn. Minoru was found unconscious in the hot spring and had already been taken to his room. Yukana mentioned that Junichi and his friends were quite a handful. Junichi apologized and Yukana gently tapped his forehead, smiling at him. She told him he should really thank the inn's staff. Yukana said that the trip together was fun, although it turned out a little different than she had imagined, but still good. Junichi apologized again and then invited Yukana to go out, just the two of them next time. Yukana was surprised by the invitation and asked where his ideal date spot was. Junichi said that as long as he could make Yukana happy, that would already be his dream. He also mentioned wanting to go on a nighttime date at an amusement park. Yukana said that sounded very romantic and then leaned closer to Junichi. At that moment, Ranko was watching them and Nane and Yui also noticed the closeness between Yukana and Junichi. Yukana invited Junichi to have their date at the amusement park.